Welcome back to the channel. Today we're exploring one of the most requested hypothetical military scenarios. What would happen if the elite U.S. Delta Force went up against the entire Russian army? This extreme matchup pits America's premier special operations unit against one of the world's largest conventional military forces. First, let's understand who Delta Force actually is. Officially known as 1st Special Forces Operational Detachment Delta, 1st SFOD, Delta Force is one of America's most elite and secretive military units. Founded in 1977 by Colonel Charles Beckwith, estimated strength of about 300 to 400 operators, specializes in counterterrorism, hostage rescue, direct action, and special reconnaissance. Operators selected from the Army's most qualified soldiers, primarily from Special Forces and Rangers. Rigorous selection process with reportedly less than 10% pass rate. Armed with cutting-edge weapons, equipment, and technology. Extensive training in all environments and infiltration methods. Delta Force's strength lies not in numbers, but in the quality of its personnel, their training, and their ability to execute high-risk missions with surgical precision. Now let's examine what they'd hypothetically face. The entire Russian army. Active personnel, approximately 280,000 to 300,000 ground forces. Reserves, over 2 million additional personnel. 12,000 plus tanks, including T-14 Armata, T-90, T-80, T-72. 30,000 plus armored combat vehicles and personnel carriers. 4,000 plus artillery systems, sophisticated air defense systems, S-400, S-300, Pantsir. Strategic and tactical nuclear capabilities. Full Air Force and naval support. The Russian Army represents a massive conventional force with overwhelming numerical and firepower advantages. The very premise of this matchup highlights its impossibility. No special operations force, regardless of how elite, is designed to engage an entire nation's military in direct confrontation. Special operations units like Delta Force are created specifically to avoid such scenarios, instead using stealth, precision, and asymmetric approaches. But for the sake of our thought experiment, let's consider how this might theoretically play out in different scenarios. Scenario 1. Direct confrontation. In any direct, conventional battle, the outcome is mathematically predetermined. Even if each Delta operator could somehow neutralize 100 Russian soldiers, an absurdly generous assumption, they would still be overwhelmed by sheer numbers. The Russian Army's massive artillery, armor, and air assets would make short work of any direct engagement. Delta Force's training and doctrine explicitly avoid such scenarios for good reason. Their approximately 400 operators, regardless of skill level, cannot defeat 280,000 plus active Russian troops with thousands of tanks and artillery pieces in conventional warfare. Verdict: overwhelming Russian victory in direct confrontation. Scenario 2. Guerrilla campaign. What if Delta Force adopted unconventional warfare tactics? Special operations forces historically perform better in asymmetric conflicts. In this scenario, Delta might operate in small teams across vast territory, target command and control nodes, disrupt supply lines and communications, conduct sabotage of critical infrastructure, avoid direct engagement with main forces. Even here, the math remains problematic. The Russian Army's counterinsurgency capabilities, including specialized units like Spetsnaz, would eventually locate and neutralize Delta teams. The vast surveillance resources, including satellite imagery, drones, and signals intelligence, would make long-term evasion extremely difficult. While Delta might inflict disproportionate damage initially, their limited numbers and supplies would lead to eventual defeat through attrition. Verdict: initial Delta successes followed by inevitable defeat. Scenario 3. Decapitation strategy. Could Delta Force target Russian military leadership to create chaos in the command structure? This approach aligns more closely with their actual capabilities, high-value target operations, surgical strikes against command centers, intelligence gathering and sabotage. However, Russia maintains redundant command structures, hardened communications, and significant leadership depth. The temporary disruption of certain command nodes would not collapse their entire military infrastructure. Furthermore, such operations would require extensive intelligence and support elements that go well beyond Delta Force itself. Verdict: possible limited tactical successes but strategic failure. This hypothetical matchup fundamentally misunderstands what special operations forces like Delta are designed to do. They are precision instruments, not mass warfare tools. Their actual strength comes from integration, operating as part of larger joint forces; intelligence, working with comprehensive intelligence support; technology, leveraging advanced surveillance and communications; logistics, being supported by robust supply chains; surgical precision, accomplishing specific objectives rather than broad military defeat of entire armies. Delta Force's real-world effectiveness stems from operating within the context of America's broader military and intelligence capabilities. They are the tip of the spear, not the entire weapon. The real value of units like Delta Force isn't in hypothetical battles against entire armies, but in their ability to conduct high-risk, high-reward missions conventional forces cannot; execute operations with minimal collateral damage; provide options below the threshold of full-scale war; achieve strategic effects disproportionate to their size. Their effectiveness is measured not in conventional metrics of territory controlled or enemy forces defeated, but in specific objectives accomplished with precision. In our hypothetical scenario of Delta Force versus the entire Russian army, the conclusion is unavoidable. No special operations force, regardless of training or equipment, can defeat a major nation's entire conventional military. The true strength of modern militaries lies not in pitting their components against each other in isolation, but in integrating specialized capabilities into a coherent whole. Delta Force's value comes precisely from not being used in the scenario we've described today. What do you think? Are there other historical examples of special forces achievements against overwhelming odds that we should consider? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to subscribe for more military analysis and hypothetical scenarios. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this breakdown.